You know when they go to ground with. You know when they come around, if they wanna clown, then we gun them down. I'm war ready, was born ready, I'm more ready. I'm saying this now, making sure that the morgue ready. Yeah. We got some drop-offs, battle formation, I'm waiting for you to pop off. Right after you make your first move, get your rocks off. Next thing you'll head to the dirt, we are not soft. I took a loss, but nah, I ain't panicking. I be making moves, you staying still like a mannequin. Think you got the force, but shit, I'm feeling like Anakin. Hit the chick with the lightsaber, might save her. Doing moves tight major with light paper. And H-Town on them blades like an ice skater. Yeah. At that One West Passover, sit down, take a seat till the class over. Far from sober, but I ain't puffin' on Doja. Bartender, bring me tequila. Hold the soda, shit. Hold the ice too, flood it like a typhoon. We can get 6 shooters, 10 paces high noon. We have Player Street, all-star studded like it's all.
Because that's what it means. That's what it means to serve the Lord. That's His will. The Lord's will is about division. The Lord's will is about separation. The Lord's will is about not gratifying yourself. The Lord's will is about not satisfying yourself. That's what the Lord's will is about.
You know who I go to ground with, my niggas. You know when they come
that might be a foreign concept. No offense to Christianity. We no longer have fathers like we're supposed to in the black home. We don't have fathers, you understand, in the black, Hispanic, and Native American homes like we were supposed to. No thanks to Christianity and no thanks to America.
You can't feel me. Unless you sip 100 proof. I got 100 soldiers with me, that's 200 boots. We get to stomping like a Kappa or a Q. But don't mistake me for no rapper, I'm the Jew. The streets cold, so I throw on the cover. You a bitch, don't get mad at me, get mad at your mother. Put my life on the line like I got me another. Yeah, shit. It's like I'm on another level here. You second tier, I'm pulling guns, that's on Metal Gear. It's hell out here, but shit, I die heavenly. AK equipped with the drum, it holds 70. Twin revolvers, bucket you ducks like Yosemite. Yeah, I hear a lot of rappers puffing on their enemy. I don't smoke, but I drink their tears like it's
hallowed is a word that means holy, meaning the Lord's name is separate. The Lord's name is about division. The Lord's name is about separation. Throughout the Bible, it talks about separation and division.
Even wanna hear about rappers. Heavy gut punch, knock the air out rappers. Ain't nobody fucking around with my niggas. You know who I go to ground with, my niggas. You know when they come around, if they wanna clown, then we gun them down for my niggas. Ain't nobody fucking around with my niggas. You know who I go to ground with, my niggas. You know when they come around, if they wanna clown, then we gun them down for my niggas.
It's supposed to be thy will be done. The Lord's will is supposed to be done. Not your will, not grandma's will, not mommy's will, not Uncle Bobby's will, not the Democratic Party's will, not the Republican Party's will, not the Independent Party's will. Instead, what? Thy will be done. Thy will be done. The Lord's will is supposed to be done.
All right, Shalom Israel. We the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started at the 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group nor any other Christian organization. That said, tonight's class is the Brotherhood class. All right, every Tuesday is the Brotherhood class because Brotherhood is essential to build up the Black, Latino, and Native American community. We are responsible of correcting, dealing and addressing the aftermath of all of the trauma our oppressors inflicted on us, that America, the so-called white man, the colonizer, the Caucasoids inflicted on us. This is imperative. We have to address these traumas. We have to address all of the damage that our oppressors caused. And the only way to address it is coming to class Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, coming to the Sabbath service, coming to the history class, coming to the Brotherhood class, which is today, coming to the scripture breakdown, which is Wednesday, going to scripture breakdown classes on Thursday, coming to the Lashawan Kodash on Friday. This is how we're going to deal and address to address all the damage our oppressors inflicted on so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are God's chosen people. We were never supposed to go our entire lives not knowing what love is according to the Bible. You know what I'm saying? We were never supposed to go our entire lives not knowing what brotherhood is. We were never supposed to go our entire lives and not know that God is black and the angels is black and Jesus Christ is black. We were never supposed to go our entire lives and not know that the same blood that ran through the body of Christ and through the veins of Jesus Christ, Yahushua Mashiach in the Hebrew, we share that same blood. It runs through us as well. You understand? It ain't just being covered by the blood of Jesus like your pastors taught you and like your deacons taught you and like the ministers taught us and the evangelists taught us and what Big Mama taught us and the mother of the church taught us and the first lady taught us. It ain't none of that. I can do you better. We share the same blood of Jesus Christ if you're so-called black, Latino, or Native American. A Mexican is family to Jesus Christ than any oppressor ever would. The Dominican, the Puerto Rican, the Colombian, the Cuban, the Peruvian are closer to kin to Jesus Christ, Yahushua Mashiach, than any colonizer would ever be. Now that's something important to understand. So for anyone else tuning in tonight's class, of course, I always start off of asking a few questions. My first question is, what is synonymous to brotherhood? Since tonight's class is a brotherhood class, what is synonymous to brotherhood? Because this is something to indeed understand and to know. Also, if you guys have any questions, you can just put it in the chat, and I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna get to your questions within the chat. All right, and give the sister a hand. The sister says sisterhood. Give the sisters a hand so far. The sister says sisterhood. Brotherhood and sisterhood, they are synonymous with each other. They are the same. You can't have brotherhood without sisterhood, and you cannot have sisterhood without brotherhood. They are one and the same. When you open up this Bible, the Bible has brotherhood in every scripture and in every verse. When you're going into the Bible, when you open up the book of the Lord, you can see sisterhood in every scripture and every verse. I promise you, you can. You just have to find it. You just have to find it. You have to look real deep, and you'll be like, yeah, that's brotherhood. Oh, yeah, that's sisterhood. All right. And since we're using terms like brotherhood, and since we're using words and vocabulary like sisterhood, what is sisterhood? Right? What is brotherhood? What is sisterhood? So everybody in the class can know so far. What is brotherhood and what is sisterhood? You about to get to it. That's correct. Give the sisters a hand as well. Brotherhood and sisterhood is love. All right, just like what I was saying in the beginning of class. We were never supposed to go our entire lives. We were never supposed to go this long and not know what love is and what love actually looks like and what love feels like and what love hears like. Love is an action word, and love does have a feeling. Love does have, you can hear love and you can see love and you can feel love, right? But what if I told you, if I pose a question, what if I told you you've never felt love before? You've never heard love before, and you never saw love before. Because in the Christian church, they teach you love is nothing but a feeling. And the feeling that they teach you love comes within. It comes within. It comes within your heart. And when they tell you it comes within your heart, they're talking about the organ, the heart that pumps blood and pumps blood throughout your body. When you go into the Bible, the heart, according to the Bible, is referring to your mind. But when you go to the Christian church, and when you learn from your pastors, and when you learn from the deacons, and when you learn from the ministers, and when you learn from your evangelists, and you learn from your popes, and you learn from your imams, if you go to mosque every Friday, they'll tell you your heart is within in relation to the organ that pumps blood throughout your body. Well, I'm gonna teach you tonight that love does have a feeling, but it ain't the feeling that the Christian church taught you. And you can actually see love, and you can actually hear what love looks like and what love actually is. We were never supposed to go our entire lives and not know what love actually is, and what it looks like, and what it feels like, and what it sounds like. We were never supposed to go this long. We went far too long. And love, according to the Bible, is what? That's my final question. Because love isn't what you think it is. Love isn't what you feel it is. Love isn't what you say it is. Love isn't what your pastors told you. Love isn't what your preachers told you. Love isn't what your deacons and bishops and them told you, or your deacons told you. All right, and the ministers and them evangelists. Don't listen to them when it comes to love, because they don't know what love is. They wouldn't even know what love is if it even slapped them in the face. And that's a true statement. I know back in the day when I was younger, my mother would be like, boy, you don't know what love is, even if it slapped you in the face. Well, let me tell you Christians something. And let me tell you Muslims something. And you Buddhists out there. And the people who don't believe in nothing at all. You wouldn't know what love is if it slapped you in the face. Because we're going to go into tonight and teach you what love is. Now it says love. Give your sisters a hand, right? Love is keeping the laws of God. If you go to 1 John chapter 5, verse 3, it will tell you what love is. For this is the love of God. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments. And his commandments are not grievous. For this is the love of God, meaning this, the Lord is going to explain to you what love is. For this is the love of God. The kind of love that we are to have is the love of God. We're not here to have the love of man. That's something called romantic love. Romantic love isn't the love of God. Romantic love, which comes from Rome, is a love in relation to all of the lust that your body, right, that your body has. All of the desires that your body has. That's a Roman love. That's a romantic love. All right? Kissing all over each other and, tugging each other and all this other type of stuff. That's a romantic love. Wanting to go into the bedroom and just have a bunch of sex with each other. That's a romantic love. But that's not what love is according to the Bible, of course. However, because of Christianity, you will confuse that romantic love with the love of God. Some of you brothers out there, the moment you put your rod into a woman, you love her. That's it. You love her. Right? I believe back in the day, we called that being P-U-S-S-Y, whipped. At least when I was growing up, that's what it was called. Well, brother, just because you put your rod into a woman, right, and you're so deeply in love with her, that's not the love of God, of course. All right, and that's not even love. That's just lust. All right, you was able to have an orgasm, you climaxed, congratulations, welcome to adulthood, maybe. However, it's not what love is. Sisters, forget about it. All right. A sister throw it back on a brother, that's it. She's in love, she's crazy, and all kind of stuff. And she thinks, oh my God, this is just what it is. That's not what love is, sis. All right, that's not what love is. All right. Back in my day, we called that something too. But we're gonna try to keep class PG tonight. All right, but just know that's what you are if you do it. And that's not what love is. And that's not what love looks like. That's not what love feels like. Because love is an action, and love does not just revolve and orbit around sex, orgasms, and climaxes. That's not what love is. All right. For this is the love of God, because the love we are to have is God's love. Right. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments. Y'all can put some commandments in the chat. but not lying to each other and not bearing false witness to each other. That's what love is. That's what the love of God is. That's the kind of love we need in our community. That's the kind of love that we need in our household. That's the kind of love that we need in our homes. That's the kind of love we need in our neighborhoods. That's the kind of love that we need in our cities. That's the kind of love that we need. The love that we need is not lying on each other and lying to each other and bearing false witness. And what love is, and also in addition to that, what love is establishing punishments and judgments when one lies, when one bears false witness. It's in the Bible to judge. Don't allow the Christian church to run game on you. Damn, they shooting. Damn. Well, that we in the hood. Salaki, that's where the school is. Brothers and sisters need to come into the school. So what love is, right? Actually, I can break that out there. This is what love is. Love is not unaliving each other and knowing how to treat each other, right? Knowing how to deal with each other. There's so much violence and so much evil in the Black, Latino, and Native American community. We should not be shooting at each other and unaliving each other the way that we are. We are not supposed to be living life this way. Love is not envying. Love is not envying your oppressor. Love is not wanting to be like your oppressors or being like the colonizer and being like the Caucasoids and being like the so-called white man, which is Adawam, Edom, Esau, Idumea, the most disgusting man to ever walk on the face of the earth. We were never supposed to fashion ourselves after him. We were never supposed to live life like him. We were never supposed to think and make decisions like him. We were never supposed to love like him. Love to him is being a gangster. You understand? Joining the mafia, pumping the trunk on people, being like the Bonanos and the Colombos, and being like the Genovese and the Gambinos and the Lukis. Those were crime families that were established in America, in New York City, that spread into Chicago, that spread into Detroit, that spread all the way down into Norfolk, and spread into Baltimore, and spread into DC, and spread into Jacksonville, all the way to Miami, spread all the way west. You understand? In Compton, in the LA, in Vegas. It spread all the way into your Dallas, Texas, your Houstons, your San Antonios, and also your Memphis, Tennessees, your Nashvilles. Like that gang culture spread so far. You wouldn't have Bumpy Johnson. You wouldn't have your Frank Lucases if it wasn't for the Bonanos and the Colombos and the Genovese and the Gambinos and the Lukis. Love looks like not following after them. You understand? Like we shouldn't have to walk in our communities and not in having the fear that our life can be taken at any moment. Not just by our oppressors, but our own people. We were never supposed to fear each other. We were never supposed to be scared of each other. We were never supposed to have the idea that this black man like me, or this Latino man like me, or this Native American like me, man, woman, or child, has the capability of unaliving me because I'm me. I'm them. We are the same people. We come from the same race. We come from the same nationality. We come from the same ethnicity. We were never supposed to walk our streets and be afraid of each other the way that we are now. But because we envied our oppressors and we wanted to be like them, because we saw their success by being gangsters, and we saw the profit that came with being like the mafia, is why we're living in the conditions we're living in today. Because we desired their disgusting women like Martin Luther King, evil, disgusting men like Martin Luther King, who couldn't control his erections, who wanted to go after white women is why we're living in the conditions that we're living in today. Disgusting men like Bayard Rustin, who couldn't control himself because he was so thoroughly abused as a kid. He developed an interest in having sexual intercourse with white men, is why we're living in the conditions we're living in today. You understand? Exactly. That give that sister a hand. She actually pulled the precept, man. Leviticus chapter 20 and 13, where it says a man can't lay with a man as woman. It is an abomination. You understand? Meaning, and someone tell me, what does it mean to be an abomination? Y'all give me something that's abominable. What does that term mean? I know Kat broke it down the other day, but I want y'all to tell it, put it in the chat. Who would have known? Who would have known because? Who would have known because of homosexuality is why my people are selling drugs? Who would have known because of the LGBTQIA plus community is the reason why my people are suffering from addictions of all kinds and all manners. And they're struggling with substance abuse. And it's such a challenge to get that monkey off their back every single day of the week, every single day of the year. Who would have known that was the reason? How many of you knew Bayard Rustin, a black man who was a civil rights leader that worked with Martin Luther King, and he was a homosexual who had a white homosexual lover as a man. And he taught Martin Luther King non-violence. Love looks like going against that. Love looks like renouncing Bayard Rustin. Love looks like renouncing Martin Luther King when it comes to his integration and his interracial marriaging. That's what love looks like. It's such a repulsive behavior. It's repugnant. And the Lord said it, for this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. It's not hard. It's not difficult to learn how to behave in a way that's acceptable of the Most High. It's not hard to behave in a way where you don't come to the conclusion that you have to unalive your brother or you have to unalive your sister, and you got to put 3 in the dome and 3 in the stomach, and then send him back home to his mother, riddled with bullets. And now his mother's crying, his father in tears, little sister, little brother just crying, saying, I'm never going to get my brother back. Our lives were never supposed to be that way. That's because we envied our oppressor. That's because of the Christian church teaching the Christian church did not teach us what love actually is. When the Christian church taught us that love looks like this, and love may sound like that, and love is following your heart, and when you get that gut, when you get them butterflies in your stomach, that's what love feels like, is why we're unaliving each other in Curry Park and Young's Park the way that we are. Absolutely horrible. Give the sister a hand. Sister Hadassah said disgust and hatred. All right, disgust and hatred for what? Go ahead and finish that out. Disgust and hatred of what? You know what I'm saying? Disgust and hatred for what? Because that's something that we need to hear, man. Only if y'all were in physical class tonight. I don't know if y'all heard it on camera, but whoever it was, they slid. They just slid right behind the school in Curry Park. They just slid. Our communities were never supposed to sound like that. Our communities were never supposed to sound like a war zone, as if we just got stationed in Iraq, or just like we in Afghanistan or Iran. We were never supposed to hear that much shooting and all of them bullets flying everywhere. And bullets don't got a name to it. You might as well listen. A lot of these brothers out here, They're not trained shooters. They're not trained to hit their target. A lot of these brothers and sisters out here, they're not being trained to hit a target or to take responsibility if they hit the wrong target. They up and leave, and it takes 2 to 3 months for the officers to finally find the culprit. You know what I'm saying? Like, our communities were never supposed to be full of all of this evil the way that it is. But if we refuse to keep the commandments if we continue to refuse to keep the commandments of God, then all of this evil is going to continue to be in our cities. It starts with separating from Christianity. It starts with separating from Islam. Islam was introduced to blacks and Latinos and Native Americans by a white man, by an oppressor. You learned that from Officer Yaquab yesterday in the history class. I don't know if y'all knew that, but Fard Muhammad was a white man, and he taught Elijah Muhammad, and Elijah Muhammad taught Malcolm X, and eventually Louis Farrakhan came into the picture. And then after that, a lot of Muslims broke out of the NOI and started their own factions of Islam, like them Philly Muslims did. And then out of them, you got the 5% nation, the nations of gods and earth. And they started their own version of Islam. All of this came from a white man. Everything leads back to some disgusting oppressor. We really have to start questioning if it's coming from a white man, and if it's coming from a white woman, right? A colonizer man, a colonizer woman. We may have to really sit back and think like, should I accept it? If you see a white person do it, you should question yourself if you should do it too. If a white man is saying it, I question it just in case. If I'm like, a white man said that. I may not want to say that. I may not want. Or a white woman said that. I may not want to say that. I may not want to repeat that. You want to do your research before you repeat what they say. Just be careful. That's how we should be living, because these people are not to be trusted. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous, meaning it's not hard. It's not difficult it's not difficult to behave in a way that's acceptable of God. But what is hard is dealing with the horrible consequences that come with disobeying God and refusing to keep his commandments, when it comes with refusing to keep his laws. All right. Now, of course, if anybody has any questions, y'all can just put it into the chat. But any other thing than that, I'm gonna go ahead and go into my lesson. All right. So, of course, we all know. All right. If y'all read the title today, hopefully y'all did. Let me organize my my tabs real quick. I don't like how my tabs are organized. All right, but we're gonna go over Satan is in the midst. All right, because Satan is in the midst of our thoughts. Satan is in the midst of our minds. Like this is something to this is actually something to consider. All right, because Satan is everywhere. All right, and you want to be, and as a people, as so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, as a people, we want to be really, really careful. All right, really, really careful, because Satan is everywhere we go. Temptations is everywhere we go. All right, like it's like it's nostalgia. It's nostalgic. All right, I'm gonna get that word for y'all too. All right, let me go ahead and I'm gonna read what it means to be nostalgic. All right, nostalgic. Let me get it for you. All right, because nostalgic comes from the word nostalgia. There we go. So nostalgia. I'm gonna read definition 1. A sad pleasure experienced and recalling what no longer exists. All right. Meaning a wishful or sentimental yearning for a return to, or the return of some real or romanticized past period of some irrecoverable past condition or setting. So when it comes to Sister Tazarai, Salakia, Mashalamka. Okay, shalom, sis. Shalom ya Tawab, the water. So nostalgia. All right, to be nostalgic. Our people suffer from, when you come into this truth, all right, you're going to possibly suffer from something called nostalgia. All right, your past life will cause you to be nostalgic, and you're always going to want to reminisce about it and talk about it to the point where it's like you really, really want to go back. All right, and that's when you know Satan is in the midst. All right, and so I'm gonna go. All right, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna get a scripture. All right, it's in Genesis. I guess it's lucky. I guess I can't spell today. It's somewhere in the book of Genesis. Let's go to Genesis chapter 19, verse 26. All right, so let's get Genesis chapter 19. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 19, and I believe that's going to be verse 26. I might start a little bit above it, though, so bear with me. I'm probably going to go up a few tastes. Bibbidi boppity. I'm just looking for where. Let me see. There we go. Yeah, we're going to start at verse. We're going to start at verse 13. Genesis chapter 19, verse 13. I think I'm going to start there. I kind of want to start at verse 1. Yeah, I mean, I guess I got time. No problem. We're going to start at verse 1. All right. Now, in the meantime, like I said, if anyone has any questions, just go ahead and ask. But now, Genesis chapter 19, verse 1, it says, and, meaning addition to, there came two angels to Sodom at even. Now, remember, the angels, right? Angels are like, they're real, real scary. All right. Angels are really scary to look upon. There's a scripture in the Bible where it talks about a man of God, and it was in reference to an angel. All right. And the word angel by definition just means like a messenger. All right. If you go into the Bible, the word angel is mala'ak. All right. Is mala'ak in relation to like a messenger, right? Someone who has a message. All right. And the angels of the Lord, they were messengers, and they will give you a message. Either that this city is going to be destroyed. You need to leave this city, right? Going to give you a message like the Lord is his wrath is against you. And so you got a few options. Either I'm going to unalive this amount of people in the city, or I'm going to have you in captivity with under your oppressors, under the foot of your oppressors. Like an angel will be giving this message. All right. And so angels are really fear and scared, and it's very scary to look upon. And also in the Bible, it talks about the angels being black. The angels also had a skin tone. They had 4 faces, 4 wings, straight feet as the hoof of a calf, and they had the skin as brass, as shine as furnace brass. meaning they were black, they were brown. And so these were angels, right? All right. And angels look like men, right? In some cases, they also look like how they normally look, scary as hell. All right. And there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, right? Because Lot lived in Sodom. All right. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground, because Lot, which was also the family of Abraham, because he comes from Noah, he comes from the line of Adam, he knows what an angel looks like. He knows what a man of God looks like. And so when he saw them, he said, oh, let me bow. All right. The word bow is in relation to also humbling yourself. The word worship in the Bible, the same word used for bow is the same word that's used for worship. So when you worship something, it's meaning you're bowing down to it, right? You're bowing down, meaning you're conceding to whatever is whatever is in front of you. That's what it means to worship. So if I say I worship Jesus Christ, I worship Yahweh Shai Mashiach, all I'm saying is I bow myself to him. I concede to him. He is now my authority. I submit myself to him. That's what worship means. Worship doesn't mean you go to church every Sunday and you sing a bunch of songs and you're dancing. That isn't what it means to worship. The word worship means to bow yourself, like a bow, because you're conceding, you're humbling yourself. All right. Verse 2, and he said, behold, now, my lords. He said, my lords, right? Which either would be Adawanya or Adunya in the Hebrew. Most likely this would be Adunya. Adunya in the Hebrew, which means my lords. You probably seen Adonai, which is how Amalek says it, the so-called Jewish man. He would say Adonai, but in our language, it's Adunya, Adawanya, either one of the two, which is in relation to my Lord, right? Meaning someone that's above you, someone that's in charge of you. It says, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house. So he's like, hey, my lords, come into the crib, come into the house, right? I pray you, right? Why is Lot praying, saying, I pray you come into the house? Because he knows, right? He knows how evil Sodom is. He knows how disgusting and repulsive and repugnant Sodom and Gomorrah is. And tarry all night, meaning, hey, we don't need to be outside all night. Not in Sodom, not in Gomorrah, not in America. In America, you don't need to tarry all night. And it says, and wash your feet, meaning I'm going to take care of you, right? I'm going to show some hospitality. And ye shall rise up early and go on your ways. And so after I'm done catering to you, my lords, and showing my utmost respect and hospitality, when I invite you into my home, then the next day you can wake up early and you can be on your way wherever you must go. And they said, nay, but we will abide in the street all night. So the Lord was like, nah, we good. We want to be outside. All right. Verse 3, right? Now, Genesis 19:3. And it says, and he pressed upon them greatly. So he put on the pressure. He was like, nah, man, we gotta go. Like we gotta go. We can't be here for long. We gotta keep going. All right. And they turned in unto him and entered into his house. So he applied the pressure, and the angel said, you know what? All right, no sweat. We coming in. And he made them a feast and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. Now, unleavened bread right? Like I've said before in other classes, the feast of unleavened bread is in relation to the Passover, right? Meaning we didn't have the time to put yeast or any leavening agent in our bread in order for it to rise. And so we just made it regular, meaning bread that does not rise. Unleavened bread is bread that does not rise. So the feast of unleavened bread is to honor the fact that our brothers, our sisters, our forefathers and foremothers, right, were not able to rise the bread while the Lord was destroying Egypt and getting the Israelites out of Egypt. However, creating unleavened bread was always a tradition of our people, right? For an example, right here, Lot made the angels. He made his Lord's bread, and they ate it. Verse 4, but, meaning rather, before they lay down, right? So before they was able to take it in and call it a night, kick their feet up and go to bed, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, so the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, all right, compassed the house round. So the men of Sodom, they surrounded Lot's house, both old and young. So there were old men, right, and young men. All right. Now the term old and young, that's relative. All right. There's no real age, but whatever you want to consider old, they were there. Whatever you want to consider young, they were there. All right. All the people from every quarter. So for every quarter of the city, right? Every man was there. Verse 5. And they called unto Lot. They was like, hey, yo, Lot, they was knocking, hey, yo, Lot. That's what they were doing, right? And said unto him, where are the men which came into thee this night? So where are the men which came into thee this night? So he's like, hey, yo, those men that we saw, where they at? The ones that came into your house, the ones that you invited in your house earlier, where they at? Bring them out unto us that we may know them. And so now these men are disgusting, right? Once again, abominable. These men are abominable, all right? They are disgusting, right? These men, their behaviors are repulsive and repugnant. All right? Verse 6, and Lot went out at the door unto them and shut the door after him. So Lot, he looking back like, nah, I'm going to come out here real quick and shut the door because I don't need you looking in. I don't need you coming in because I know how y'all get down. I know how disgusting y'all are. I know how repulsive and repugnant you are. I know how much of a rapscallion you are and how much of a scallywag you are. I know how much of a maverick you are. So you're not coming in here, nor can you look in here. So I'm going to shut the door behind me. Verse 7, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. So he was like, hey, yo, my brother. He just speaking in general. He's like, hey, yo, my brothers, listen, yo. We don't even got to do all this. Y'all wildin'. We don't even got to do all this. I know. I pray you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm pleading with you. I'm praying. We don't even got to do all this. Just chill. You don't know who those men are. Chill. You don't want to do wickedly with those men. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to. Now, of course, the wicked thing that these men want to do to them angels is homosexuality, right? Which is, of course, a behavior that does not exhibit love. That's a behavior that does not pose any love. All right. Verse 8. Behold now, meaning look at this now. Look now. I have 2 daughters which have not known man. So I got 2 daughters, right? They don't know a man. They haven't been with a man, right? let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. So now, of course, this is a great example for the kind of father and the kind of man that you should never be. All right? You don't want to be this kind of man like how Lot is, right? You want to fight. This is when you want to fight Satan, right? Because Satan is in the midst right here. This right here is a prime example of Satan being in the midst. All right? Satan, right, is one of the highest ranking angels, highest ranking evil angels that the Lord has. And his name is in relation to someone standing in the way. Right? Like the word Satan literally means something standing in the way. Something that is against you. Something that is your enemy. Something that is your opposition. So when we call our oppressors the devil, right? In the Hebrew, we call him Shaitan, which is Satan in English, all right? Or Satan in Hebrew, right? Shaitan, because our oppressor stands in our way. Our oppressor is our enemy. Our oppressor is against us. So our oppressors are like Satan to us. So these men that are knocking on Lot's door, these men are Satan unto Lot. And when Satan is in the midst, Lot made a decision to give them his daughters. You never, ever, ever in your life be the kind of man that's willing to give your daughters away to disgusting, repulsive men. That's not Israelite culture. That's not a man of God. This was the day that Lot was supposed to risk his life. This was the day that Lot was supposed to stand up as a real man of God, like his cousin, right? I mean, like his uncle Abraham would have done, and went to war with these men. Abraham was a warrior. Abraham knew how to go to war. Abraham had a whole army camped outside of Sodom and Gomorrah. Not in Sodom or Gomorrah, but outside of Sodom and Gomorrah. Right? And so here we are. Lot is like, hey, yo, my brethren, y'all wildin'. Y'all need to get a grip on life. Here's my daughters. Don't be that kind of brother. All right? Verse 9. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came into sojourn. I mean, there's a fellow in there, right, that journeyed into your home. And he will needs be a judge. All right? Now, will we deal worse with thee than with them? And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. So that's how disgusting their lust was. Like homosexuality is such an aggressive, repulsive, repugnant behavior. All right? It's so aggressive. All right? It's so dominant. It's disgusting. It's very forceful. That's why if you noticed, even in today in 2025, a lot of the members in the LGBTQIA plus community, they're real aggressive and real dominant. They're real forceful. And the reason why is because they were forced upon. There was a man or a woman aggressor that was mad aggressive with them. Extremely, egregiously, immensely aggressive with them. To the point where I would hate to go into detail. And they were just terrible, horrible things done to them. And that's why they are the way that they are. Well, these men too in Sodom and Gomorrah, to the point where they were willing to try and break down the door. Like Satan is indeed in the midst right here. Verse 10, but the men put forth their hand, right, and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut the door. So the men, meaning referring to the angels, right, took Lot and pulled him through the door, because those men out there in Sodom and Gomorrah was about to do terrible things to Lot too. Verse 11, and they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. So what these angels did was, right, with the power of the Lord, with the power of the Most High God, they were blinded. They were like, yo, where's this door that we were just trying to bust down? Where's it at? And they couldn't find the door anymore, and they just gave up. That was it. They wearied themselves to find the door. That's it. Verse 12, and the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. So these messengers of the Lord, which are called angels, are asking Lot, do you have anything here besides what I see right here? Do you have any family, son-in-law, brother-in-law, mother-in-law, sister, daughter, niece, and nephews? If you got them, let them know that y'all got to get out of here. Verse 13, for we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Most High, and the Most High have sent us to destroy it. Listen, when something becomes so wicked, and when something becomes so evil, the Lord is going to destroy it. Don't think for a second the Lord isn't going to destroy something that's evil. America is one of the most evil places to exist in our time, and the Lord is going to destroy it. America has done so much evil on this earth. America has done so much evil to the entire planet. When I say America, I'm also talking about the so-called white man. Like these so-called Europeans, the so-called white man, Edom, Adawam, Esau, Idumea, they've done so much wickedness and so much evil to the entire planet, to the lands, to the people, especially to God's chosen people, which are so-called blacks and Latinos and Native Americans. And they've done so much evil that the Lord has to do something. The Lord must do something, just like what he did in Sodom and Gomorrah. The Lord is going to tear down America, the white man's kingdom, the white man's power, just like he did Sodom and Gomorrah. It's such an evil thing to take a people and ship them across the Atlantic with no food, no water, forcing them to defecate on themselves and each other, forcing them to leak period blood on each other, which created a catalyst for diseases for our people, our ancestors, to get sick on those ships. And then when they made it to land, they sold them on auction blocks and treated these people, our ancestors, like absolute pieces of garbage and trash. And we were not human to these people. We were not men or women or children to these people. We were property. We were nothing but a commodity. And even to this day, we are nothing but the wares of America. This is something to understand if you're so-called Black, Latino, Native American. It's such an evil thing that the so-called white man has done to God's chosen people, which are the Blacks and the Latinos and the Native Americans. So evil that once slavery was quote unquote abolished, they made it their one priority to put Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans back on them plantations by ratifying the 13th Amendment. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except it be a punishment for a crime, shall exist in the United States of America. It's such a terrible thing what these men, these terrible, disgusting, repulsive, repugnant white men and women have done to so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. And because it was and because slavery can only be a crime, can be a punishment for a crime, they came together at their meetings and their roundtables and their conventions and their symposiums and said, we must make these people into criminals. How can we make these people into criminals so we can put them back onto these fields so they can once again be a commodity in the wares of our success? So they started a system called Jim Crow. And for the smallest things, we were thrown into prison for. For the smallest things, we were thrown in jail for. And now we're back picking cotton. In 2025, we're still picking cotton, making shoes, making sneakers, being plumbers and electricians and welders for pennies on the dollar, because we are slaves still in the United States of America. It's such an evil thing that these people have done to so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, to the point where you can't even imagine, and there's not a class long enough to explain all of the wickedness and the evil our oppressors have done. How can we make these people into criminals? Well, we have abused them for so many years, and they are traumatized, and they need an outlet. Their traumas have never been addressed. Their abuse has never been addressed. We are their abusers, but we don't care that we abuse them. We are the ones who traumatize them, and we don't care that they are traumatized. How about we give them nicotine and tobacco? How about we give them marijuana and weed? How about we make them into drug addicts? Well, that's a good idea. Let's bring now, but that's not enough. How about we create laws and legislation and policy? It's illegal to sell cigarettes if you don't have a certification. Let's make it illegal to possess marijuana, the very drug that's going to take the edge off, because we abuse them and we traumatize them. There's not a class long enough to explain how evil our oppressors are. Just like the Lord sent angels to Sodom and Gomorrah to destroy, the Lord is going to send angels and his son, Yahushua Mashiach, to destroy America. Let's continue. Verse 14. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Most High will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law, meaning the sons-in-law took Lot as a joke. These men were not going to listen to Lot. His sons-in-laws and his daughters, they were not going to listen to their father-in-law. They weren't going to listen, right, to their father. Keep in mind, let this also be a lesson. Let this be a lesson, because this is also Satan in the midst. All right? Your family isn't going to believe you when you say that you are to separate and get out of this place in relation to the behaviors and the customs and the culture of America. Just like Lot, when he went to his son-in-laws and his daughters and said, get up, get you out of this place, is no different when the priests and the prophets of the Lord and the sisters of the Lord in the Israelite school of universal practical knowledge says, separate from your oppressors and stop celebrating their holidays, and don't celebrate their Christmas, and don't celebrate their New Year's. They're going to look at you as if you are one to be mocked. They're not going to believe you. They're not going to want to listen to you because they want to celebrate Christmas. Because in Sodom and Gomorrah, just like in America, Christmas never fills their belly. Christmas allows them to be insatiable, never to be satisfied. These are a people who are never satisfied. You want to celebrate Christmas because you are okay with never being satisfied. You're a greedy bastard who wants to indulge in every lust these terrible, disgusting men and women give you. That's why you want to celebrate Christmas. You get to go to Christmas parties, and you get to have all the glorious sex you could ever imagine, and all of the orgies you could ever imagine. That's why you celebrate Christmas. Some of you brothers and sisters out there say, well, I celebrate Christmas because it's for the kids. No, it's not. Christmas has never been about the kids. Christmas has been about all of the alcohol and all the drugs and all the sex you can have on December 25th, and you feel no guilt about it because it's Christmas. It's the holly jolly season. This is the one day that I can have all of my fun and all of my desires taken care of because it's Christmas. It was never about the kids. It has always been about your erections and your throbbing clits. Excuse my language. It has always been about that. That's Christmas. Christmas comes from an ancient feast in Rome, right? Well, Christmas is a syncretic holiday, all right? It's more synchronistic than anything. Synchronism. I mean, it has multiple customs and religions, beliefs in one. One of the beliefs is the feast, an ancient feast of Saturnalia, a feast where Romans would come together. It was like a 7-week feast, a 7-day feast, 8-day feast, I believe. I can't remember the amount of days. I think it started December 16th and it ended on the 24th. It was for the celebration of the winter solstice. And they would have a bunch of parties, a bunch of gatherings, a bunch of festivals. And what involved these festivals were alcohol, drugs, and of course, you know it, a bunch of sex. And not just any kind of sex, but the repulsive sex and the most repugnant and disgusting, abominable sex you can ever think of. For an example, they would have a punch bowl at the Feast of Saturnalia, and they would spike the punch bowl. So whoever drinks this punch, they could take advantage of. Don't believe me? You can just look this up on Google. And there was a certain plant that they used to spike that punch bowl to get you so drunk and so drugged that they can take advantage of you and they can have their way with you. That drug was the mistletoe. To answer your question, Azabaka, La'asis, Rome, Sodom and Gomorrah, they did not exist at the same time. Rome is a empire that came way years after Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah was a city where these were cities before before the Israelites was a nation. Before Egypt reigned with power. It's one of those ancient cities. All right. But the mistletoe they would put into the punch. That was the ancient date grape drug. It was a drug used so they can sexually take advantage of whoever drinks from it. That's your feast of Saturnalia. Merry Christmas. There you go. You also have the birthday of King Nimrod on December 25th that the Babylonians taught. We're telling our people to get you out of this place. You want to get out of celebrating Christmas because it's the birthday of King Nimrod, a Babylonian king who was made a god by his mother, Semiramis. And she taught the Babylonian people that when her son died, his spirit went into the evergreen tree, a pine tree, a tree that never dies, and it keeps its bristles, it keeps its leaves, it keeps its color no matter what season it is. And she made it a decree for her people, and she made it a law for her people that every December 25th you must go into the woods and cut down a tree, and you must fasten it down with nails in your house, and you must deck it with silver and gold, and you must sing to it, because my son loves songs and his soul is in that tree. So you must sing to it. And there's a bigger tree that you must come to that's going to be in the middle of the city. Just like there's always a Christmas tree in the middle of every city that you can take your kids to. Mommy, Daddy, I want to go see the lights this year. So you go take them downtown Norfolk, downtown Portsmouth, downtown Richmond, so you can see the Christmas light show. Well, in times past, in Babylon, there was a Christmas light show in relation to celebrating the birthday of King Nimrod. And you had to come to this tree on December 25th that was decked with silver and gold. And you had to give it a gift, because my son, oh, my sweet son, loves gifts. So you have to give this tree gifts. And if you don't give this tree gifts, then it's off with your head. And I'm going to take your head and I'm going to hang it on this tree so everyone can see that you must give my son his gifts, because, oh, my baby boy loves his gifts. That's Christmas. That's the truth behind Christmas. And when his mother died, the people made her the star on top of the tree. Semiramis, the star of Semiramis. You can look this up. It's all over the internet. All right. This is real information, nothing that I made up. So the same way that Lot was telling his family to get you out of this place, the Lord sent priests and prophets from the Israelite school of universal practical knowledge to tell the people to up and get you out of this place, meaning separate from the customs and the culture and the beliefs of these people. That's all. Of course, this day, right, Lot was telling his people to actually get out of the city because this city is going to be destroyed. Verse 15, and when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. If you don't leave, take your wife, take your 2 daughters. These are the only ones that are going to leave with you. Take them and leave, unless you're just going to become collateral damage. You're just going to become collateral damage to the destruction that the Lord sent to Sodom and Gomorrah. Verse 16, and while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand and upon the hand of his wife and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth and set him without the city. And so the Lord sent these angels, and these angels, these men of God, led Lot and his wife and his daughters out of the city. Verse 17, and it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, escape for thy life. Look not behind thee. I'm going to repeat that one more time because I want you to remember this. It says, escape for thy life. Now there's a semicolon there. Escape for thy life. Look not behind thee. Neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. So to escape for thy life is to not look behind you, right? So when you're fleeing this city and you see and you know and you hear nothing but destruction falling on Sodom and Gomorrah, don't look back. Because not looking back is the escape for thy life. So when you want to escape for thy life, don't look back. Don't do that, or you'll be consumed. Verse 18, and Lot said unto them, oh, not so, my Lord. Because the Lord, Lot is saying to the Lord, to the angels, to the men of God, I'm not, oh no, oh, not so. I will not look back. I will escape for my life. I will not look behind me. I will not be consumed like how Sodom and Gomorrah and the wicked, disgusting men are going to be consumed. I'm not going to look back. Not so, my Lord. Verse 19, behold now, meaning look now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life, and I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. So Lot is saying, listen, I found grace in the sight of the Lord, and his mercy, meaning an imprisonment rather than death, was magnified on this day by saving my life. I cannot escape to the mountain lest some evil happen to me. Verse 20, behold, now this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. It is not a little one, and my soul shall outlive. Even though this was a little city, right? Because this was saving Lot's life, this city is like a big city to him. You know what I'm saying? It is not a little one. That's a question. It is not a little one, because this city is such a big city to him, because this is going to be the city that he can flee to. All right. Verse 21. And he said unto him, see, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city for the which thou hast spoken. So the city that you go to, I'm not going to overthrow because of what you said. Verse 22. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore, the name of this city was called Zoar. All right, so Zoar was the city that was such a little city, but really a big city, because this was going to be the city that Lot and his family was going to flee to. Verse 23, the sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. All right. Now, they're in the city. They're in the city in Zoar. It's a little city, but it's a great city because it's not Sodom and Gomorrah. All right. Then the Most High rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Most High out of heaven. So imagine the skies open up and there's just a bunch of fire and brimstone. Things that are like extremely hot, immensely hot. It's just being burnt to rubble. It's just being burnt up in flames to the point where you can see it. You know what I'm saying? As if the sun was risen up. Like that's how much fire was there. As if it was like a sun. Does everybody understand where it's coming from? Let's continue. Verse 25. And he overthrew those cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, and all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. So everything was decimated. Everything was destroyed. Everything was burnt down to rubble, burnt down to absolutely nothing, like ground zero. Nothing was there. Verse 26. But his wife, in reference to Lot's wife, but his wife looked back from behind him. So his wife looked back from behind him. So his wife was behind Lot. Lot was in front of his wife. And she did not escape for her life. And she looked behind. She looked behind. While they're in the city of Zoar, she looked behind her. She looked behind herself, which was looking behind him. And she became a pillar of salt. She became a pillar of salt. I'm going to stop there for now. She became a pillar of salt. All right. So now she became a pillar of salt. This is what you don't want to do. Becoming a pillar of salt is your life being consumed. How do I know? Because we read it in verses before where it says, don't let this evil consume you. Lest this consumes you. The wickedness that the Lord, the destruction and the ruin that the Lord is sending to Sodom and Gomorrah consume you as well. You want to escape for thy life and don't look behind you. Turning back is that evil consuming you, and the Lord is going to destroy you every time. What you want to do, right? You don't want to have this nostalgia, right? I call it nostalgic temptation. It's such nostalgia because the city must have been so great to her that she had to look back just one more time because she could not escape for her life. Well, let that be a lesson for all of us in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Let that be a lesson for all so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans that are God's chosen people. Don't look back. Escape for thy life. Don't be consumed by evil. Don't fight your nostalgia. That nostalgic temptation that you want, it could be anything. It could be the sex you used to have. It could be the weed you used to smoke, the drugs you abused, whatever it may be, the tattoos you loved getting because you just needed ink therapy because that pain was so riveting and so pleasurable that you have to go once a month to get a tattoo on you because you've been abused and you've been traumatized. Don't look back. That gospel music, get rid of that gospel music you want to listen to every Sunday. Monday through Sunday, don't listen to any Kirk Franklin. Don't listen to any Hezekiah Walker. Don't listen to any Marvin Sapp. Don't listen to anything in relation to that Christian gospel music. Escape for thy life. I know, it's nostalgia, so nostalgic, but it can consume you and it can ruin your life. Our oppressors planted churches on every corner, in every Eastern Star in Messianic church on every corner, and he planted every mosque on every corner, in every Greek fraternity, in every Greek sorority, on every corner, just so you can look back and not escape for thy life. It's there so it can ruin you. It's there so it can destroy you. If the white man put it there, if the colonizer planted it there, then it may not be for good. You want to have the mindset that if the white man is giving it to me, it may not be all good. There's a hidden agenda behind this mosque. There's a hidden agenda behind this church. There's a hidden agenda behind going to church every Sunday. And the preacher telling me God loves everybody. God knows your heart. God understands your situation. What God has in store for you is for you. God got a blessing coming. God got a blessing coming. There may be a hidden agenda behind there. I pray that all of you understand. Nobody's perfect. We all fall short of the glory of God. there may be a hidden agenda behind those policies. I mean, behind those beliefs, behind that doctrine, behind those teachings. You may want to beware of it. The Bible says to renounce the hidden things of dishonesty. That's what the Lord said. Let's get James. Let's get James chapter 1. And let's go to verse. Let's go to James chapter 1, verse 1. Now, this is in the book of James. All right. This is in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 1. Now, the book of James is in the New Testament. All right. The book of James is in the New Testament. And it says, James, a servant of God. All right. So James, this was a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ. If Jesus Christ was God, it wouldn't have to say and, meaning addition to, of the Lord Jesus Christ. If Jesus Christ was God. To the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. To the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Oh my. In the New Testament, it's talking to the Israelites. It's not talking to everybody. Ooh-wee. What a miraculous finding. Verse 2. James chapter 1, verse 2. My brethren, right? My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into divers temptations. Right? Count it all joy when ye fall into divers temptations. Now, what are divers temptations? Divers temptations is in relation to all the temptations of the world. All of the lust, right? All of the temptations you can think of. Remember, our oppressors filled and flooded our communities with a bunch of temptation. Our communities are full of temptation. That could be pornography. That could be a bunch of orgies, homosexuality and lesbianism, drugs like marijuana, crack, heroin, like in pills, like your Molly's, your Percocets, right? Drug dealing is a temptation because it gets you what you want. Money, because money gets you what you desire, which could possibly be something evil. So drug dealing can be a temptation, right? Like I said, there's temptations everywhere. Alcohol, even though the Lord said there's nothing wrong with a drink of alcohol, but alcohol can be evil to you. It could be a terrible temptation for you. I mean, a diverse temptation for you, because when you drink alcohol, you become an abuser. When you drink alcohol, you become a terrible piece of trash that nobody wouldn't want to pick up because you drink alcohol. When you drink alcohol, you become something so terrible nobody wants to be around you. So you may want to stay away from alcohol. That's a diverse temptation. Sometimes alcohol makes you the worst slut at the party. It makes you the worst harlot 304 or whore you could ever imagine. So you can't drink alcohol. When you drink alcohol, somehow your mouth falls on some rods. Wake up and you tell us, I don't know what happened. It just popped up in there. You're a slut. All right. You should stop drinking alcohol. You're an alcoholic. You're a drunkard. You may want to put down the Henny. All right. The Casamigos, some of y'all sisters can't drink Casamigos. Leave it alone. The tequila, leave it the hell alone. It makes you be the person you never wanted to be. It also makes you a person that everyone else around you doesn't want you to be. So diverse temptations, right? Diverse temptations. Whatever it is, it could be a diverse temptations, all right? Being a Republican, being a Democrat, that's a diverse temptation as well. Wanting to be so liberal and wanting to be so conservative, that's a diverse temptation. I pray that y'all understand that, because you believe being a Democrat makes you such a man. Being a Democrat makes you so liberal. It makes you above everybody else. It makes you look like you're so prestigious and you're just number one. You're just so a part of American society. You think by being a Democrat, it makes you believe that you're actually doing something for black people, for Latinos, for Native Americans. It's a diverse temptation. It's a diverse lust. Don't be a Democrat. Being a Democrat does nothing for you. It does nothing for the community. It just makes you feel like you belong. It makes you feel like I've been invited to the white cookout. I've finally been invited to the white table. It makes you feel included. It's a diverse temptation. And so when it says, my brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptation. Quick question for the class. Why should you count it joy? What makes, when you fall into diverse temptation, meaning you see what you lust after, you're looking at what you used to love. You get nostalgia. It's nostalgic. You're looking at that weed and you're just like, you just start salivating. And then your body, the mechanics, you just start doing all this. You just can't help yourself. And you're just looking at that blunt like, ooh, I really want to pick it up. Why is it saying count it all joy when you see that blunt? When you see that weed, when you see the heroin, when you see the pills, you get a bit of nostalgia. Why is that? When you're going through the internet and you see all the 304s naked shaking their tail, and it tempts you to go out there looking for one, right? Why does it say count it all joy when that happens? Somebody give it a shot. It says, my brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptation. Okay, yeah, overcome it. But why is it joy? Focus on the joy. It's like a subliminal suggestion. Okay, but why is it joy? Like, think of it. Why is it joyful? Like it's saying, when you fall into diverse temptation, count it as joy. So I'm gonna say it backwards because old English can be kind of confusing. It says, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptations. So the Lord is saying, right, when you fall in temptation, in diverse temptation, count it as joy. Like, be happy about it. Be joyful about it. Why does the Lord want you to be happy about it? Why does the Lord want you to be joyful about it? I want you guys to focus on joy. Why does the Lord want you to be joyful about it? Because if you think about it this way, then yes, you can overcome. Right? If you see this as a subliminal suggestion, then you'll be able to overcome this subliminal suggestion. Why should you count it as joy? Let's see if anyone can hit it on the marker. We're in James chapter 1, verse 2. Give the sister Hadassah a hand, right? Because it's because you didn't give in. The sister said because you didn't give in. That's why you want to count it as joy, because you didn't give in. You're like, just because it's a temptation. It's such a strong inclination to what you want, right? It's something you desire strongly. You strongly desire whatever it is in front of you. And you can only desire it because you don't have it. So you should count it as joy because you're not using it. You don't have it. You're not getting it. So you should count that as joy. The fact that you can fall into diverse temptation, it's a start. It's because you didn't give in. You don't have it. You're not using it. When you see the weed in front of you, take it as joy because you want to smoke it, because it's the fact that you're not smoking it. You're not smoking weed right now. So you should count it as joy that you're not smoking weed right now. You might be tempted. It's not against the Lord to be tempted. It's not an evil thing to be tempted. It's an evil thing when you act on your temptations. That's when it becomes evil. It's evil when you give in. It's evil when you can't fight your erections, right? When you can't fight your lust as a man or a woman, right? That's when it becomes evil. That's when it becomes wicked. That's when it becomes the opposite of love, which is the hate. That's when it becomes repulsive and repugnant. That's when it becomes such a terrible, disgusting behavior, which is called sin. Righteousness, right, is a behavior that's accepted by God. Sin is a behavior that's not accepted by God, which is the breaking of the law. All right. Knowing, now verse 3, James chapter 1, verse 3, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. It says that the trying of your faith worketh patience. The trying of your faith. What is our faith? Anybody want to give it a shot? What is our faith? I'm going to give it to y'all, of course, because I want to continue through the lesson. But also, if you guys have any questions, of course, y'all can just put it into the chat. It says, the trying of your faith, our faith, is keeping God's laws, statutes, and commandments. Statutes and commandments. That is our faith. In every single day in America, your faith is going to be tried. Because America wants your faith to be tried. America wants your faith to be broken. America doesn't want you to stand on your faith as so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Because once you stand on your faith, once you stand on the faith of God, which is keeping his laws, his statutes, and his commandments, his empire will collapse. He would have to go back to the drawing board and find a way to ruin you and to destroy you. However, the Lord will stop him from destroying us if we keep his laws, if we keep his statutes, if we keep his commandments, if we stand on our faith. Like I brought out earlier, when the 13th Amendment was ratified, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except it be a punishment for a crime, shall exist in the United States of America. They ratified the 13th Amendment. So years later, they can have conventions and meetings and roundtables and symposiums on how to put you back on them plantations. So they can have their roundtables and meetings on how they can make you into a criminal, so they can punish you with slavery, because their entire mission was to find a way to put you back on them fields. Our oppressors don't want us to be free like the Lord wants us to be free. And to be free is to keep the laws of God. To be free is to fall into diverse temptation and for our faith to be tried and we overcome it. That's what it means to be free. America doesn't want you to be free, black man. If you're so-called black, Latino, and Native American, as a man, woman, or child, just know the Lord does not want you to be free. If you are a black man, that's a father, a black woman, that's a mother, or a Latino or Native American, that's a father or a mother, do your due diligence and teach your children how to navigate this racist world, how to navigate white supremacy. Teach your kids that there's a people that hate you, that despise you, that are Satan unto you, that are in your way, that are against you. And they made it their mission to oppress you and to keep you at the bottom and to keep you poor and to keep you who you are right now when the Lord does not want you to be that. Teach your kids that, man. Teach your kids how to navigate white supremacy, how to deal with oppressors, how to deal with the so-called black, how to deal with the so-called white man and white woman and child. You are doing your children a great disservice by not teaching your kids that there's a people out there that hate them. And there's a people out there that despise them. There's a people out there that just want to see you burn and want to see you fail. They don't want to see you make it to the top. They don't want to see you with any kind of power, because they know once you get power, their power gets destroyed. When you get that authority, that's when they know their empire is soon coming to an end. Teach your kids. Teach your kids how to navigate this world. Facilitate ways in your home how to teaching your children how to deal with the so-called white man. These people are having roundtables and symposiums about how to keep you down, to keep you so down that they passed laws. They created a law system called Jim Crow. Created a system called Jim Crow just so they can put you back on them fields. They said, if I catch you drinking from a water fountain that's not black, you're going back into slavery. If I catch you walking on the wrong side of the sidewalk, I'm throwing you into slavery. Or I may even end your life. If I catch you looking at a white woman, talking to a white woman, I'm going to end your life. I'm going to throw you back into slavery. You understand? If I catch you laughing in public, if I catch you not putting your your laughters in a laughing barrel because it's illegal for you to laugh in public and to smile and be happy, I'm going to throw you back into slavery, or I may take your life. But that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough for our oppressors. Eventually, they got rid of Jim Crow. Eventually, they got rid of Jim Crow. But there were still rights that we did not have. And he gave us those rights. And when he gave us those rights, because of our leaders, we did not see how those rights that were given to us were one of the worst things that could ever been given to us. The right to vote. Voting doesn't fix anything. Being a Democrat or Republican doesn't fix the conditions of so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Integration. That doesn't fix anything. Our oppressors facilitated a way. Our oppressors, the colonizer, the Caucasoids, the so-called white man facilitated a way to put us back on them fields. Guess what? Guess what else he did? He created the ghettos. He created the ghettos that we live in, which is a post-dated slavery. He took the neighborhoods in the cities we took the time to build, like your Tulsa, Oklahomas, and your Rosewoods, and all the black streets of America you could think of. Norfolk, Church Street, Ghent. We built these areas and they were successfully black. And he saw how successful it was. And he saw that if they continue to be successful, we won't be able to put him back in them fields. We won't be able to charge him with a felony or a misdemeanor so we can put him in jail and prison so he can get back in them fields and be a commodity and continue to be the wares of America. So they passed the Highway Act and they built highways through our cities that we built, which divided our communities. And when these communities were divided, we were no longer together, and we've become displaced because of the highways that were built straight through the middle of our communities. And the trains that ran through our communities, they were rerouted into different directions and rebuilt elsewhere, because he saw that if they get too successful, they won't be the criminals that we need them to be, because we want them back on them fields. We want them onto them plantations. We want them slaves again like they already are. Then they rob us of our resources, and they defunded our schools, and they take away the funding from our cities by using a system called redlining, and our communities fall into poverty. And then the CIA pushed drugs into our communities and made our people into pushermen and made our sons into drug dealers and out to be addicts. And then integration comes along, and we take all of our money and spend it with them. And so now just a bunch of money is flowing out of our communities, and all of our resources are plummeting and being dragged out of our communities. In addition to that, we become drug dealers and drug addicts and prostitutes and 304s. Now what? Now our cities become abandoned. and they look abandoned. They look like they need to be rebuilt. They look like the slums. And so what does our oppressors do? Right? They slum clear our cities. Well, this is considered the slums now. Well, we have a program called Urban Renewal Housing. And so we have some urban renewal projects coming up. We're going to take you out of this complex and we're going to move you to this new complex here. And then some of y'all can move into this complex over here. And then some of y'all can move in this complex over there. And now we become further displaced and divided from each other. And more resources get dragged out. And now we're living in extreme poverty. And now we're learning, and now we learn new behaviors that are terrible for our people to learn. We already have gangsters now because we learned from the mafia. We also have prostitutes now more than ever because we learned from white women. Then you have the feminist movement, which made prostitution acceptable and not so much frowned upon, that now in 2025, everyone is doing it, and it's called leveling up. All right. Moving to, and then I guess eventually moving to Atlanta to make it seem like you leveled up. Now here we are. And now they pass legislation and policies and laws on how, of course, you can't be a 304. You can't be a drug dealer. You can't have this amount of narcotics on you. You can't have this amount of drugs on you. This is, now you have mandatory minimums, harder on crime. Here we are, all right, getting a bunch of time, accumulating nothing but felonies and misdemeanors because their entire mission was to put you back onto them fields, to get you back on them plantations. It says, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. We must stand on our faith because this is the patience that's required to fix our people. This is the patience that's required to fix so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. This is a must. Fight your nostalgia. Fight your temptations. Fight your lust. Fight your desires. Because that is your faith. And count it as joy that you're not tempted. Christmas is coming up soon. Don't celebrate it. All right. New Year's is coming up soon. Don't celebrate it. What's that other holiday? Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is coming up soon. Don't celebrate it. I know, well, I'm just doing it for no. Just fight. Let's fight it. All right. Well, I think that's almost it on my time. All right. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna read these announcements. The water for y'all time tonight. All right. If you guys have any questions too, make sure y'all bring your questions to tomorrow's class, which is the scripture breakdown. All right. Let's see. All right. So ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK, started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes to the school, they are off limits for 1 year. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves to the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21. Malachi chapter 3 verses 8 through 10. Ma'ashara means 10th in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to Treasury Department or teacher. Go to ISUPK.com, click on donations, and there'll be, and then of course just follow the directions from there. Priest fund, freewill offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. All right, we are now in the feast of Hanukkah, but after Hanukkah, it'll be the feast of Purim. All right, honoring the sister Esther. All right, if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black. That's black boots, black shirt, black pants, black headband, or war scarf. All right. If you want to be a sister in the school, come to class with a dress, head covered, ready to learn. All right. With that, shalom. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua brought a thumb to the brothers, and shalom Yahweh Shamar Alathan Ba'Shem Yahushua to the sisters. Shalom, Israel.
Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The ISUPK, under Commanding General Yahana, presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover. That's right, the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026, in Houston, Texas. All black Hispanics and Native Americans are commanded to observe the Lord's Passover. This will be the biggest Passover to date. You do not want to miss this. Fresh lamb, fresh wine, and bitter herbs as commanded by the Most High. Only $200 per person ages 17 and up. The biggest event of the year. There is only one Passover, and it's under Commanding General Yahana. See you there, Israel. Shalom.
Nobody else there to compare to. Train for war, men of war, and war like apparel. Prefer our leaders, can't get between us. Watch where you stepping.